what is the nature of international law? I mean, it's such a strange idea, I think. And I mean, I understand it because I'm a lawyer, but what do people think about, as it were, courts intervening as a country is engaged in the middle of what this is Israel, would see as a fight to ensure that the 7th of October is never repeated? Is
Well, look at this. I
international law
mean,
anything more than just an extension of politics, in effect?
oh no, I mean, I would not accept that
No,
characterization
I
at all.
appreciate that.
In other words, the international humanitarian law, and for these purposes, we're talking about the Geneva Conventions, their protocols, and comparable standards. These are standards that were not written by pie in the sky human rights activists. These were standards adopted by the world's leading militaries to control themselves. To say, even when we're facing existential crisis, we commit to abide by these rules. And Israel, has signed on to these rules. They've got lawyers who are supposed to uphold them. The standards are actually not in question. It's just that some governments choose to flout them. And so, Russia and Syria flouted them by bombing hospitals in Syria. Russia's flouting them today by attacking civilian electrical infrastructure. Israel's flouting them in Gaza by starving and bombing
But
Palestinian civilians.
does it mean, and you and Helena both made the point completely accurately, that standards have changed since, for example, the Second World War? Could the ICJ have given an interim ruling that carpet bombing of Dresden and other German cities and carpet bombing of British cities, which were designed to kill civilians, would have to stop? That's what would have happened during the Second World War had the ICJ been functioning at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, I think much of what happened in the Second World War violated today's standards.
Absolutely.
War
It's
crimes
because
or
of those
genocide. Yeah.
violations that we have today's standards.
Yeah. But the one thing we have to be careful of, I would not go so far as to say that therefore international humanitarian law is meaningless, because in fact it does guide most militaries. It's backed by very strong public opinion. So it does restrain conduct. It's just that some governments ignore it. And just as some criminals commit acts of murder, that doesn't mean that the laws against murder are meaningless. They still restrain most people. So we need to see this not as a crisis of humanitarian law, but rather as an urgent call to enforce it.